After the Hijrah, Muslims in Medina entered a new stage of life. They were no longer a persecuted minority hiding in Makkah. They were now an emerging community with a new homeland, new responsibilities, and hostile enemies who still wanted to destroy them. Quraysh had vowed, "We will not rest until we eradicate Muhammad and those who followed him." As reported in Ibn Hisham, al-Sirah al-Nabawiyah. To protect Medina and establish the Muslim community, the Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, began sending out small patrols, Sariyyāt, and expeditions, athāt. These were not wars. They were reconnaissance missions, defensive measures, efforts to secure safe trade routes, diplomatic outreach, warnings to hostile tribes, and training for a community that had never fought organized battles. This stage would become the training ground for Badr. Multiple authentic sources agree that the expeditions began for 6 reasons. Quraysh's continuous threats. Even after the Hijrah, Quraysh sent messages to the tribes promising rewards for killing Muhammad, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him. Muslims inside Makkah were still being tortured. Some Muslims were imprisoned and prevented from migrating. Quraysh were preparing armies. Ibn Ishaq reports through Ibn Hisham that Quraysh held meetings after the Hijrah to plan attacks on Medina. Economic warfare. Quraysh confiscated all property left behind by the Muhajirun, tribal alliances around Medina. Some tribes were influenced by Quraysh and threatened the city. Military training for the Sahabah. The Muslims had never fought organized warfare. This period trained them physically and spiritually. The very first expedition in Islam was led by Hamzah ibn Abdul-Muttalib, the Lion of Allah. 30 Muhajirun under Hamzah, 300 Quraysh warriors led by Abu Jahl. They met at Sif al-Bahr, near Yanbu. Just when battle seemed unavoidable, Majdi ibn Amr al-Juhani, a respected tribal leader, intervened and prevented war. This event tested the Muslim resolve, sent a message to Quraysh, gave Muslims their first taste of military confrontation. Hamzah returned to Medina without fighting, but with immense confidence that the Muslims were ready for larger challenges. 60 men met 200 Quraysh at Waddan. For the first time, a Sahabi, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, shot an arrow. This was narrated in Sahih Bukhari as the first arrow shot in Islam. This expedition showed Muslims were no longer passive, the Quraysh trade routes were vulnerable, and the Muslims would defend themselves. A tiny team, only 8 men. Their purpose was reconnaissance. No battle occurred. But this mission scouted caravan routes, potential enemy movement, and tribes near Medina. This intelligence would become extremely important later. This was the first military mission the Prophet Muhammad, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, personally led. Purpose was to secure peace treaties, to protect Medina's vulnerable borders, and to send a message to Quraysh. The Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, made a non-aggression pact with the tribe of Banu Damrah. This was the first political treaty in Islamic history. Its importance: neutralized a tribe near Quraysh's trade route, secured the western side of Medina, built trust with neighboring tribes, proved Muslims kept their word. Quraysh caravans carrying huge wealth were passing near Medina. The Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, set out with 200 Sahabah. The caravan escaped by taking an alternative route. What Muslims learned here: Quraysh were now extremely alert. They anticipated Muslim patrols. High-value caravans needed heavier protection. Muslims needed better intelligence networks. This mission ignited Quraysh's fear. Muhammad now threatens our economic lifeline. This was one of the longest expeditions before Badr. Muslims camped near Ushaira, close to Yanbu. The Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, scouted trade routes, made treaties with Banu Mudlij and Banu Damra, observed the Quraysh caravan of Abu Sufyan, which would later be targeted before Badr. This is also where the Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said to Ali and Ammar, "Shall I not tell you of the most wretched of people, O Ali?" This mission set the stage for the famous caravan of Abu Sufyan, which became the trigger for Badr. A group of 8 Sahabah, led by Abdullah ibn Jahsh, were sent for intelligence gathering only. They were given a sealed letter from the Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him. Do not open this letter until you travel for 2 days. The letter instructed them to observe Quraysh caravan movement and do not engage in fighting. However, they encountered a Quraysh caravan headed by Amr ibn al-Hadrami. It was the last day of Rajab, a sacred month. They debated. If they let the caravan pass, it would escape, and fighting in Rajab was forbidden. They fought. 1 man from Quraysh was killed, 2 captured. This shocked Medina. The Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "I did not command you to fight in the sacred month." Allah revealed, "They ask you about fighting in the sacred month." In Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 217, Allah clarified, "Fighting in sacred months is serious, but Quraysh's crimes were far greater, expelling Muslims and attacking Islam." This incident broke Quraysh psychologically. They said, "Muhammad has shed blood in a sacred month." Yet Allah exposed their hypocrisy. This mission was the spark that escalated tensions and led directly into the buildup to Badr. These expeditions trained the Muslims in strategy and discipline. They learned scouting, using terrain, positioning, surprise tactics, avoiding unnecessary battle, moving in small units, built alliances with tribes. These alliances protected Medina from the rear during Badr. Frightened Quraysh's economy, their caravans became vulnerable, forced Quraysh to prepare a massive army. This eventually led them to field 1,000 soldiers at Badr, strengthened the leadership of the Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him. Every expedition increased the Sahabah's trust, built spiritual readiness, hard travel, hunger, night patrols, and obedience. All prepared the Sahabah for the greatest battle of their lives. The early expeditions were not random. They were strategic, defensive, disciplined, and part of Allah's divine plan to turn a persecuted community into a strong ummah, ready to face Quraysh at Badr, the day of criterion.